Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Pastracha Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Pastracha Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Pastracha Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Pastracha Deshatarine. Oh, there it is. Today, we are reading from the Transcendental Diary of Srila Prabhupada, Volume 3, Chapter 3. Wait, I was told it was Volume 3, Chapter, but that was supposed to be the one for today, so we'll read this. July 9th, 1976. Srila Prabhupada went on his walk while Pushta Krishna and I prepared for our departure to New York. Returning early, he took prasadam at 7 a.m. Before leaving, he agreed to pose for a group photo at the front entrance to the property. Prabhupada sat on a canework couch, and all the members of the Bhaktivedanta Institute gathered in front at his feet. On either side, all the rest of the devotees crowded all around. Prabhupada laughed when Pradyumna's son Aniruddha eagerly pushed to the front to be in on the action. He let him sit just in front of his feet, alongside the scientist. This official record of Prabhupada's visit completed, we departed for the airport to take the short flight to New York. While Pushta Krishna Maharaj checked in, Prabhupada took a seat near the departure gate. The devotees gathered on the carpet just in front. It was clear that our book distributors were active in the airport precincts, as a pleasant, well-dressed man in his early 30s suddenly approached, holding a Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, Volume 8. Jayodas had sold him the book and invited him to meet the author. The man, a chemist from Toronto, was obviously honored, and Srila Prabhupada was pleased to meet him. He offered a seat next to his own, and for a few minutes they shared a happy exchange. It seemed to perfectly cap off the highly successful visit to America's capital city. At 9:20 a.m., we set off on the next and final leg of Srila Prabhupada's American tour. This is interesting how Srila Prabhupada deals with this. He's the Jagat Guru, the spiritual master of the universe. He's a representative of Bhaktisiddhanta, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And still, he's inviting the man for the purpose of preaching to come sit next to him. I remember seeing Prabhupada deal like this in Mumbai in 1971. We were taking the morning walk at the Hanging Gardens, which is near where the Radha Gopinath temple at Chowpatty is now. And we were walking around the track field, and these two impersonal swamis said, "Oh, we have an ashram at the other side. Do you want to come to it?" We said to Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, if you want to go, we'll go." And Prabhupada said, "Not like that. If we all want to go, we'll go." So we said, "Why not?" And we went to the ashram, and Prabhupada was in an old dhoti, and he sat on the floor, and he had his leg up like this, and he's saying things in Hindi. I remember him saying Ishi Prakar, which means similarly, and he's preaching to them. And he's just sitting right next to me on the floor. The important thing to him was preaching, not what seat he got. He got a nice seat because the devotees arranged it. But he could sit on the seat next to the scientist, or he could sit on the floor next to me, just a child. I was 18. And Prabhupada is speaking to them. And he's saying something about devotees from all over the world. And he turned to me, and I'm just a couple feet away, and I can see him now still looking in my eyes. And he said, "You just came from France recently, didn't you?" I said, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada." "What? You can't hear?" I said it wasn't loud enough. You can hear now? Hello? Can you hear? Can you hear now? I think the mic isn't up high enough. What? Now? Hello? Hare Krishna? I guess I have to repeat all that? I think the kind with the plugs work better, don't they? Instead of having it remote, having it plugged in, you have one with the plugs?
Hare Krishna.
You don't have that? Hare Krishna? You can hear it now?
Hare Krishna.
Now they can you hear now? Did I say Krishna? What did I say? What? Now I can't hear you. Did I say Krishna? Okay, you heard that. All right. So I tell the story over? All right. So the part I read, did you hear that? Okay. So you can hear now? Raise your hand when I say the number 7. No one else can hear it? Raise your hand if you hear me. You don't hear me? Okay. So, I'm in Mumbai, 1971. We're taking the walk around the Hanging Gardens. Raise your hand if you heard Hanging Gardens. You couldn't hear it? You still can't hear? Did you turn it up? It's not very loud there. You sure it's on? That one's louder. I think that you don't have one where you plug it in? Those work better, don't they? Yes? Okay, now can you hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me. You can't hear me? Okay. All right. So, we're with Srila Prabhupada walking around the Hanging Gardens in Chowpatty. Raise your hand if you heard Chowpatty. No one else heard it? You heard it, yes? Okay. And the impersonalist swamis came and said to us, would you like to come to our ashram? And we said, well, Prabhupada, if you want to go. Prabhupada said, not like that, if we all want to go. And I'm thinking, I'm 18 and he's 80. And we said, well, why not? And I'm thinking, like, he's the spiritual master of the universe. And it was just like, we don't have one where you plug in the mics. Those work better than these remote ones, don't they? You know where the cord is. A mic with a cord. I know it doesn't work as well as the cord ones, though, right? We need to go back to the cords. All right, it's not here today, right? But you can hear it now? Can you hear now? What? Speak a little louder. Yeah, they better all just come up front here. Yeah, in the back too. Come up here. Yeah, come closer. Yeah, come closer. I don't want me to have to scream and lose my voice. Yeah, come closer. Yes, all of you, closer. Closer. Yes, you too. Bring their chairs. Why isn't it working? Okay. So you can hear from there? Yeah, because I'm talking loud and I'm talking right in it. Okay. You don't have one, Radhisham, you don't have the one with the plug? The one with the plug works better because it doesn't have to go remote. Oh. Oh, my goodness. Laguna, they have the one with the plug. It always works. Okay. So this because they have to hear online. So I'm thinking, just like Prabhupada in the story, he sat next to the businessman. He told him, come sit with him, because he's more interested in preaching than he is in showing his position. So when the impersonalist Swami said, you want to come to our ashram, we said, Prabhupada, if you want to go. And Prabhupada said, not like that. If we all want to go, we'll go. And so we went. And Prabhupada is sitting on the floor with his hand in his bead bag, and he's saying Ishi Prakar, which means similarly in Hindi. And he turns to me and says, you just came from France, didn't you? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And he was sitting on the floor preaching, because to him the preaching was the most important. We'd go to many people's houses to have lunch. One time he said, we are the International Society for Eating Consciousness. He said, I must take them home or they will want to eat again. Now this woman, Mrs. Shetty, there was two Shettys in Mumbai. One was construction. This one, he was a famous spice merchant. And his wife had won a worldwide vegetarian contest in Israel, because Israel has the second biggest percentage of population of that's vegetarian. India's first, Israel's second, England's third. South Africa's way down the list, right? Okay. Chapter 3, New York. Prabhupada arrived at LaGuardia Airport at 10 a.m. to a fantastic reception, equal in enthusiasm, if not in scale, to his Los Angeles arrival. Tamal Krishna Goswami, Tripurari Swami, and Rameshwar Swami garlanded him as he came off the plane, forming a saffron escort through the departure lounge. Then 200 devotees greeted him with unbounded enthusiasm, which required the presence of a special police contingent to disperse any congestion at the airport. Hemangadas held a large, elaborately decorated ceremony umbrella over Srila Prabhupada's head. The Bhakti Rasa theater group danced and everyone else threw flowers and chanted Hare Krishna as Prabhupada made his way to the car, pausing only to answer a few questions from reporters. It was both colorful and exciting to watch His Divine Grace stride through the airport like a person returning home after a long absence, looking confident and happy, wreathed in multicolored roses. Heavy traffic made it a long drive to the temple. Jayananda Prabhu, who had supported the temple in San Francisco in the beginning days by driving a taxi, chauffeured the brown LTD. Prabhupada was happy to see him, recalling how he was driving and chanting in San Francisco, and how he had given him a $5,000 donation for printing his books. He said that Jayananda was a very good boy. We came into Manhattan over the Teterboro Bridge and down FDR Drive. Prabhupada recollected, in New York I feel a little homely because I came here. First I came here. I was loitering on the street here and there from 1965 September to 67 July. Continually I stayed in New York. Rameshwar quoted Tamal Krishna's Maharaj's comment in the morning class that the devotees cannot understand the good fortune of this city that Prabhupada came here. Prabhupada smiled. Yes, I decided to go to foreign countries. I never thought of going to London. I thought of coming here. Generally they go to London, but I thought, no, I shall go to New York. As we came into, very progressive, Tamal Krishna said. Prabhupada laughed. I do not know. It is Krishna's dictation. I could have gone. London was nearer, but I thought, no, I shall go to New York. He picked out different streets and places he used to visit as we drove past them. He said he was loitering, going to one place or another aimlessly, and sometimes sitting by the river beneath the Brooklyn Bridge, thinking, when will I return to India? Rameshwar told him some of the book production and distribution news. Dayananda Maharaj was sending another volume of Srimad Bhagavatam in Spanish to the printer today, and before Srila Prabhupada leaves New York, he will present him with the Spanish Krishna book. On July 4th, they sold over 30,000 BTGs in Los Angeles, and Satsvarup Goswami has reported over 75 standing orders sold by the Library Party in America during June, despite the fact that schools are closed. In the Midtown traffic jam, our car, or rather its occupants, attracted a little attention. More than once, a taxi driver called out as they drove alongside us. One leaned out his window and shouted, that's a nice car you got there. It wasn't meant to be a compliment, but we took it as such. Prabhupada asked what the man has said, and Tamal Krishna laughingly replied, he thinks you have a nice car. Prabhupada laughed. Ask him, why don't you come here? Why are you driving taxi? Come here. Prabhupada inquired how the new temple was going, and he also asked how the newly returned Bali Mardan and Rishi Kumar and Chaivana Swamis were faring. He had a few sympathetic words for Chaivana because he attributed his fall into Maya as a lack of association. Just train him. He is a good boy. He has fallen down. Just take care of him. One may fall down, but you have to take care. He cautioned Tamal Krishna to keep a watch for Rishi Kumar. Otherwise, he felt he might be victimized by attraction for women. He advised that all three of them should have some qualified person living with them. Then problems may be avoided. We see how Prabhupada is very merciful. Sometimes we like to look for faults in people. We see how Rishi Kumar left me here alone with just a note saying, decided to split. And I guess he had some association with women here that I didn't know about. And so Prabhupada said to watch for him. He's not thinking that he made mistakes and he was a Swami, so we think of the faults. If we can help someone, that's what we do. Quite often today people find faults with everything on Facebook. I hate to tell something here that might break your faith, but everything on Facebook is not true. Some pop-up came up said that Elon Musk had bought the show The View because it criticized him, so he could close it. Turns out that didn't happen. Turns out many things on Facebook and the internet aren't true. But we find the Srimad Bhagavatam is true. And we find that if we can help people, we do. We tend to want to look up to people and expect them to give us blessings, and then if they can't, we criticize them. But we should all be here to help each other, because none of us are at the standard of Prabhupada. Raise your hand if you're at the standard of Prabhupada. Nobody? You don't think so? Raise your hand if you're at the same devotional standard as Srila Prabhupada. Nobody's raising their hand? I guess not, huh? So, unless we see Krishna face to face, we still have some progress to make. So we see that if we don't see Krishna face to face, we're missing out on something. And so much more is to come. And we see that if we can help something, you see how Prabhupada is directing here, that the best thing we can do, like it says in the end of Bhagavad Gita, that one who teaches this science to my devotees is the most dear, and never will there be one more dear. I remember when I was at the San Diego Rath Yatra, and Tamal Krishna had come from New York, and I'm dressed in white because I'd gotten married. And Tamal Krishna saw me, he says, "What happened? You're dressed in white." I says, "I got married." He says, "Why did you do that?" He says, "You should have called me." I said, "You were all the way in New York." He said, "So I would have gotten on the next plane to come and talk you out of it." I said, "Are you sure?" He says, "Of course I'm sure." So we see this, that the devotees were always willing to help each other because Prabhupada set this standard and he asked them to help. I found that when I was alone here, Prabhupada asked Brahmananda Swami to come and help me out. So Brahmananda writes me a letter. You know where he didn't send an email? Didn't exist in late 72 or 73. So the letter comes and it says Prabhupada had asked him to come to Durban to help me out, and he's bringing some African devotees with him. So the letter came from, he was going to do a Sankirtan safari because I think it's about 3,500, 4,000 kilometers away from Nairobi. It's not a hop, skip, and a jump. So then he said he was in Mombasa and they're doing programs there. Then the next letter said he was in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and he was going to Malawi, and then he would go to Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, and he would come here. And then he didn't come. And a letter came that said that he had come to the border with African devotees. And at that time, you couldn't bring Africans to South Africa. Not allowed. Not only were they not allowed, but if you tried such a thing, you were put on a list that you would never be allowed in the country ever. They don't publicize this. They used to put in their visa application, please list 3 people you know. And if a white person mentioned any Indians or Africans, they would say, "I'm sorry, our visa quota is up. Please reapply later." They couldn't just tell you, "Don't worry about it, you'll never get a visa." They'd make you keep applying because they didn't want the secret out that if you knew any Indians or Africans, they didn't want you to come here. All you had to do was mention you knew some, and that would disqualify you from getting a visa. Imagine. So he couldn't make it, so Prabhupada asked Durdarshan to come. And Durdarshan means hard to see or hard to find. So sure enough, you got it, he was gone quickly. Then Prabhupada asked Pushta Krishna to come. And fortunately, he was always planning to come because when the government was throwing me out, um, I called him up and he said he had money for himself but not his assistant. And I said, you have to be here tomorrow. It's today's Friday, because come Monday, I bought time saying my visa wasn't with my passport, it's coming on Monday. And they said they'd be back on Monday. So I knew on Monday they would figure out I was over my visa and I'd be in trouble. So he showed up the next day. So this is the idea, we should always help. You know, if somebody, if it turns out they're a thief or a child molester, we don't put them in charge of the children or the treasury. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't help people, because we don't help people at the cost of others. If we find somebody is dangerous, like if somebody had attacked another devotee, then out of kindness we can't allow that person to come because they've inflicted violence on other devotees. And that will put other devotees at danger, and it makes the temple liable. If you knew, oh yeah, last time they were here they threatened to stab someone, but we told them, come back, everyone is welcome here. So we try to welcome everyone, but not when they are a threat. So we see how Prabhupada was very interested in helping the devotees. Where was I here? Oh, we need to move on here. Oh. Tamal Krishna told him the devotees had been working day and night for the last month and a half to make sure everything was ready for Srila Prabhupada's arrival. In the last week, some have practically not slept. Even some hired laborers worked for free yesterday and throughout the last night. Srila Prabhupada said that the devotees were very kind to him. That is love. These things can be done only out of love. ISKCON Sri Radha Govinda Temple, 340 West 55th Street, New York. As we turned onto 55th Street, our building came into view. Solidly constructed of brown brick, ISKCON's home in Vrindavan was a former Carmelite nursing home. It looked impressive. It's 11 stories high, with large gold letters running down the front side saying simply, Hare Krishna. A huge gold-colored satin banner had been hung over the street, depicting a devotee chanting and dancing. The car pulled up at the entrance, and Prabhupada stepped out to be welcomed with flowers and kirtan by literally hundreds of devotees. Mothers with children stepped forth with bouquets and garlands, as curious neighbors gathered across the street to see what the special event was. Sudama Swami led the way in, jubilantly pounding a mridanga, chanting at the top of his voice, and grinning from ear to ear. As Prabhupada walked through the So he remained silent. This means he wanted more. In this way I had no place. What to speak of temple? I had no residential place. So in that condition I was thinking of returning back to India. So the shipping company, I was practically every week I was going. So it was a long history that I came here with the determination to start a temple in New York first. But at that time, 10 years before, in 1965, it was not possible. But by the grace of Krishna, by the grace of my Guru Maharaj, you have got this place. So I must thank you very much for organizing this temple. People think you just go there and start a temple. They don't realize how much work it is. It's like Prabhupada went there alone. He had to get people interested. The people who were interested had to find places and collect funds. People don't understand. Like when I say I came here in 72 to start a temple, they said, oh, did you go to the Sri Sri Radharanath temple? I said, no. I planted the seeds of an idea with people so that they could get enough interested people who could collect the money and build a temple and fill it with people. It isn't as if I waited for the temple to be built and came. And the same with Prabhupada in New York. And that's why we have to honor. It's coming up in October. I remember coming back in 1995. It was the 10-year anniversary of the temple opening and the 20-year anniversary of Prabhupada's arrival in South Africa. And Sukumari had her office where the gift store is now, right? Or no, right in the front. And Swarup Damodar was behind there. Right in front you had a window where you'd come up to the window to ask you. That was the way it was. This was almost 30 years ago, wasn't it? And today they moved it to the admin building. But back then it was all on that location. And, you know, it took the time and the effort to get land and bring Prabhupada here and to build a temple. So, you know, we have to take into account that these things don't happen easily. We take for granted that we can walk up the rampway, come through the door that's already open, and we just have to wait for them to open the curtain. But it took a lot of effort on a lot of people's parts to get there. And so we have to honor this fact and let other people know that they need to appreciate and also do something to advance it themselves. He explained how living entities are suffering, wandering throughout the universe, through different species and on different planets, without knowing the real aim of life. The other day our Dr. Swarup Damodar was speaking that whatever scientific improvement or educational improvement they have made, two things are wanting. They do not want they do not know what are the different planets in the sky. They do not know. They are simply imagining. They are trying to go to Moon planet, Mars planet. That is also not possible. Even if you go no one or two planets, there are millions of planets. What do you think about them? There is no knowledge. And another knowledge, do they know what the problems of life? Two things they are lacking. And we are dealing with these two things. The problem of life is that we are bereft. We are away from Krishna consciousness, therefore we are suffering. If you take to Krishna consciousness, then the whole problem is solved. And so far, planetary system is considered. So Krishna is giving you opportunity. Wherever you like, you can go. But the intelligent person will select. Mad yajalino pi yanti mam. Those who are Krishna conscious, they come to me. So what is the difference between these two? Even if I go to the Moon planet or Mars planet or Brahmaloka, Krishna says, you can go to Brahmaloka, but Shinye Pune Martalokam Vishante, you'll have to come back again. And Krishna also says, Yat Gatva Na Nivartate Tad Dhamma Paramam Mama. So you have got this idea, the opportunity of Krishna consciousness. I was listening to a morning walk with Prabhupada, and one devotee asked, he says, because we have coverings of the universe: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. And the devotee said, Prabhupada, the scientists say that they can see the suns and other Brahmandas. Does that mean that the coverings to the universe are subtle? And Prabhupada says yes. So some of these things are way far away. And what you see there in the light happened a long time ago. So they can see that there's galaxies and things a long ways away. And they say that there's trillions of stars. And this means suns. And then there's many planets around them. Around our sun we have 9 planets. So if it's the same with all of them, that means 9 trillion planets. But he says trillion, so if it's 10 trillion, 90 trillion. It says how big some of these different galaxies are. You can see that on the internet. A light year is about 9 trillion kilometers, because light travels at 300,000 kilometers a second. So if you travel at 300,000 kilometers a second for a whole year, you'll travel about 9 trillion kilometers. Trillion, you means it's 3 zeros is 1,000, 6 zeros is million, 9 zeros is billion, 12 zeros. 9 and 12 zeros, that many kilometers away, is 1 light year. So if it's 1,000 light years, it's 9 quadrillion. You add 3 more zeros. And if it's 1,000,000, it's 9 quintillion. You add 3 more zeros. Imagine 1,000,000 light years means 1,000,000 times 9 trillion. That's how far away some of these are. So to think there could be no life there could be simply astonishing. But life can only be as we imagine it, because we can't live underwater. People only think that you can live in the circumstance. We can't live underwater, correct? That means there's no life underwater. Is that true? Because you can't live under the ocean, does that mean there's no life under the ocean? I often think that's what the fish are doing. They're coming to the surface because they wonder, how can all those people live outside of water? Because to them, this is mind-boggling. They can't live outside of water, therefore we can't. Or we can't live in water, therefore they can't. Which one of those two is a correct statement? We can't live in water, they can't. They can't live out of water, so we can't. Which of those is true? Neither one is true. Different living entities with different circumstances live under different conditions that aren't like ours. We can't expect life to be exactly like ours. So, are there any questions or comments here? What's happening on Tuesday? Who knows? Advaita Acharya's appearance? Anybody who's out there in cyberspace, you either come here at 11, what time? What time does it happen at? What? 11? What time do I give class? Like 11:30? 11:30. Did like 12:15 or something? Is that it? Who knows? What? Oh. Well, if you come at 11, there'll be kirtans. I think I'll be giving class at 11:30, and we will talk about who Advaita is and why he's so special for us, why he might be the most important personality for us having our Krishna consciousness today, what he did, what his contribution is. And we're going to tell that story, but not today. We'll tell it on Tuesday. You can read ahead if you want. Any questions or comments?